Right then, welcome back to another Beard Invades. This week, we are invading Jonathan Whittaker. So, welcome, Jonathan.
Hello.
It's great to have you on.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
And I've been watching your stuff on Instagram for quite a while now. I think we first met at Make Essential on the Gorilla Glue stand.
We did, yeah. They
cool.
roped me into coming to do some carving on their stand.
Yeah.
And it was I missed most of the show, unfortunately, but I had a fantastic time.
Same here. I was talking to people about glue.
Yeah. Well, some of the questions like, what do you use glue for? It's like I take one bit, add glue, and put another bit, and then they stay together. It's
it does what it says. It glues stuff together.
It does.
Then. Before we crack on, I'm just going to shout out a few people from the chat. So we got Wood Wizardry by Colin. We've got Doug Miller. We've got the Blue Light Turner, Barry Chitty, Wayne the Wood Turner.
Lots of familiar names.
Yeah, the usual crowd. Lawrence Bougie. Sorry, Lawrence, if I've destroyed your name. Andy H is for turning. Circular Wood by Keith. Ian in the shed. And there's loads of people here tonight. Guys, Sneaks Warlight's in as well. Look at that, Sneaks. Clive. That's what Clive gave me a few weeks back.
Oh, sweet.
Wayne Bigfoot Woodcraft. There's loads of people in. Anyway, thanks for coming in and watching, guys. Please share this out. Let's get a few people directed over to Jonathan's Instagram. Link is in the description, and get him some more followers. Right then. So you've seen these invasions before. They've slightly changed. I mean, we discussed this earlier on. So there's new questions, but they're all tailored to you rather than a blanket set of questions, which I used to do.
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. Now, guys, in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, if you've got any questions for Jonathan, pop them in with a capital Q. You know the score. If I miss them, stick them in again, and I'll do my best to see them. Anyway, let's kick it off. So, tell us a little bit about you that you can't see from your posts on your Instagram page.
Yeah, okay. I'm a full-time woodcarver sculptor. I do this 6-7 days a week, 8-12 hours a day. It's if I'm not carving, I'm promoting carving, I'm searching for the next carving job, or I'm volunteering my time carving for an institution. So it's pretty much a 24-hour gig. It's I live at home. I've got 2 kids. My girlfriend Christy, she's got 2 as well, so it's a full house as well. If you've seen any of my Instagram pictures, you'll see my dog Harry pops up every now and then. But we've got cats, guinea pigs, fish. My garden is invaded with slow worms this time of year, so we average 5 to 10 a day. We've got the cats, try to assault them as much as we can, so I spend more time fending the cats off from the slow worms. Or we get loads of hedgehogs, which is odd because I'm in a city. It's even though I've got a nice big garden. I don't have any woodland next to me, but I get hedgehogs and all these little random things. But they just make my little home beautiful. But it's I carve because I have to. I have this need in me. It's almost like an addiction. So I've been able to find something that is I can earn a living by, that I love to do, that is also my hobby. So I've been able to find something that is I can. Sorry, I was hearing a little bit of feedback there.
Sorry.
And I'm always, I started carving, say, 8 years ago. And I started carving using a router, just carving plaques. Um, I'm actually a civil engineer, specializing in coastal engineering. I was a commercial diver, a submarine pilot for the majority of my life.
Oh,
Um, uh, but then when I had my daughter, I had to find something else to do because I was a single parent, um, having one and then two kids. So I started doing like really unique kind of timber engineering, but I was like doing garden stuff like uh, planters, pergolas, summer cabins, and I didn't know how to make any of them. I just used YouTube,
yeah.
bought some books, and learned from scratch. But then I saw a YouTube video where a guy made a, a house name, a house plaque, using a router, and it's like, oh, I think I can do that. And I quickly realized I couldn't, but I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And eventually I got into something that was people liked. So anybody I made something for, I made them one of these plaques and gave them to them. And it meant I was getting a lot of repeat business because
All right.
people say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, remember that guy who did this? So it's like, oh, yeah, there's this plaque, there's his name on the back. And they'd call me. And so my initial clients became long-term clients.
Right. Okay.
But then
So,
those plaques started to grow and people wanted to buy them, which amazed me at the time. Then I was asked to do a show, an exhibition, and that exhibition led to lots more. And pretty soon I was spending 2 weekends a month exhibiting or demonstrating
oh,
somewhere. And I did that for like 2 years. And then I got completely burnt out and I hated, I still loved carving, but I didn't want to speak to or chat with or say the same thing ever
mm,
again. Where I think it's just about the time I started the YouTube channel.
right. Okay.
Well, I
So
was getting,
why why carving though? What I mean, what led you down that path to try carving? I mean, what inspired you to do that?
I've always loved wood. Wood is beautiful. I mean, every piece of wood is unique. Every piece of wood has its own special kind of grain. I would have never thought that I could try to make something like me personally make something pretty out of wood. I just loved seeing other people do it.
Hmm.
Um, so I tried and I failed a lot, but my failures, instead of being a negative, just made me want to try harder
Right.
to get that finish and or to get that look or to get that kind of shine. And every time I was able to get it, I was like, okay, well, next time I don't even want to try a little bit harder. I want to try 10 times harder. And then I'd go through the same process again. And then eventually I would get it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to try that 10 times harder again. Um, and I absorbed everything I could see on YouTube. I would talk to everybody I could meet, just batter them with questions. And uh, in that same time, people then were starting to contact me and say, how did you do this? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is what I did. And I'll spend uh, uh, loads of time each week responding to YouTube messages, Insta messages, Facebook messages, uh, trying to help people uh, avoid all the little mistakes I made,
Hmm.
which I think in the long term is impossible because we all have to learn. I think we all generally learn by mistakes, but that's a good thing because the way I do it might not be the way you do it. And you might get fantastic results. And then I'll look at your results like, hey, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, I followed your technique. It's like, well, that's not my technique. You've done some of yourself. And they're like, oh, I've done this and this. And it'll hit a spark. And then all of a sudden I'll have a whole nother idea. And then somebody else will then see that and they'll feed on it, and I'll see something that they've done. I'm just like, how did you do that? And it's just this circle, which is we're all feeding each other and helping
That's it.
each other and moving forward. And it's just, I love it. I love
Well,
what I do.
it's typical of the maker community, and I always go on about the maker community. But there's thousands of years worth of knowledge and inspiration, and in the maker community, not just carving, but there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that
Oh, definitely.
you can feed off. But then you can also spread your knowledge to people that benefit from it too. So
Yeah.
it's give and take.
But I think a lot of people don't actually realize some of the knowledge they have.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's what I like about most of the makers is they're so open to question.
Hmm.
They're and if any of you ever have a question you want to ask me, just doesn't matter if you think it's ridiculous. Don't worry about it. There is no stupid question.
No.
Uh,
No. Totally agree.
there it's just a learning curve. And when I started, especially when I started routing, I didn't have a clue. Um, and I didn't know what the spinny bits on the bottom were. I didn't know what a base place was. I didn't know what kind of router to get, and it was quite a learning curve. Right? The first router I got was this like half-inch JCB router from B&Q,
Yeah.
and the first time I turned it on, I was like, I'm never touching that. It was
Yeah.
like a jet engine firing off, and but now I use them to do really tiny little detail work.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So those of us that have met you and that have heard you on your YouTube channel and things like that, we've always thought that you're from the States somewhere, and it was kind of it was not a shock, but it was to hear from where you're from earlier when you was telling me, I was a bit
Yeah.
surprised. So, do you mind sharing your story of where you've come from and ended up here in the UK, or started?
Okay. Yes, I know. I know I sound American slash Canadian slash Irish slash South African slash Australian. These are all the guesses people make for me.
Yeah.
I'm actually from Barbados. Um, my father was a hotelier. He worked for Holiday Inn, and we moved countries a lot. So
Right.
I was kind of semi-raised in hotels.
Right.
So my accent is, I call it a mutt accent. It's just it's like a Heinz 57 dog. It's just a little bit from everywhere.
Yeah.
But I've been in the UK now. I am a British citizen. My father was British. I'm British by descent. I've been in the UK now for 14 years. 12 years of that's been in Plymouth, and I still sound like this. And this is the longest I've ever been in one country in my entire life.
All right.
So I think the American bit comes. When I left Barbados, I moved to Alaska because I literally hated the heat, working in the heat. So
Yeah.
I went to, well, the opposite. Little did I know, Alaska actually gets quite hot, but I loved the cold.
Could you was you into carving back then when you were in Alaska?
No, I was a commercial diver.
Oh, okay. Right.
I was from the time I was 12, I was a scuba diver. Then I quickly became a scuba instructor, became a commercial, skipped a step. When I was in Alaska, I joined the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years because you don't need to be a citizen of the States to join. You just have to say yes. Um, Stayed there for 5 years, got out and went into commercial diving, then submarine driving. I used to drive a tourist submarine in Hawaii, as well as commercial diving and teaching diving. At no time did I carve. I did not think I had a single artistic bone in my body.
Right.
It wasn't until I had my daughter 14 years ago that I started experimenting with art.
Yeah.
And just looking, but not even trying it, just like looking at it. and wishing I could make something like that. And it wasn't till 8 years ago I actually started to try to carve. And it wasn't until 2 years ago I ever did a 3D sculpture. It's like when we did the makers, what was that, 2017?
2019.
2019. Okay, I'm sorry. You saw my Mr. Groot
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and the whale.
Yeah.
Those are the
whale. You did the whale there, didn't you? I think. Or
well,
you...
I did a Groot on the site.
And you brought...
At the makers. I brought the whale.
Yeah.
But I did the whale for the competition. That was my first 3D sculpture
Oh right. Okay.
ever. It's
Yeah.
if you guys look at my Instagram, look back, well, 2 years, you'll see a humpback whale which is breaching. That was my first 3D carving. Then I did some of the Groots from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just fell in love with trying to make a 3D object, and it hurt my head trying to figure out how to do it. It
All
was I was watching all these people on YouTube, and I'd met people, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So what I would do is I would just start. I'm not, when you see like some chainsaw carvers, they go cut, 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 boom, there you have a bear or an owl. I am not like that. I do like a little sliver, a little shave, and very slowly come to my object.
So more deliberate.
Careful, hesitant, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been on a massive owl streak recently. I've done 8 owls in the last month. I've been seeing so many chainsaw carved owls, and I was like, I want to try one of those. And my first one was not good. It was it was to the point where I didn't even want to share it on Instagram or Facebook. It was like, that's not really up to my normal level of what I would carve.
Mhm.
But I shared it anyway because everybody's got to try and start somewhere.
Yeah.
It never starts off perfect, and I've got kind of a self rule that it's never really, for me. It's usually by the time you've done something 10 times, it's good to go. That's when you have something that you should have worked out all your little kinks.
Yeah.
But also too, once you reach a level of carving, you can shorten that a little bit. So my first L wasn't that good. My second L was better, I think, but still not that good. It looked more like a pigeon slash duck slash owl. I'm sorry, chicken. I don't mean to offend. But my third L, I think, came out pretty well.
Yeah.
And I put it on Facebook, and it sold kind of immediately, which was great. Which inspired me to do another one. That one sold immediately. Then I did 3 more, and it was so for this moment, I've become an owl carver. But I get really bored carving the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I've done 8 owls now. I don't know if I'll do another one, despite the fact they're selling well, because I've done that. I haven't not quite reached the level of perfection I want to with it, but I think they're doing okay. So I'm going to move on. I think next to hares or rabbits,
Okay.
maybe foxes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or I'll do something completely different, like a starfish. I don't know.
Well, this kind of leads on to my next question, really. But before then, Wayne the Woodturn has put the link to your YouTube channel in.
Oh, thank you very much, Wayne.
I've just popped the link into your Instagram channel. We have got a couple of questions. I think I've flashed this one on the screen because you were kind of answering this already. It was from Toonfish Crafts. Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was, where is it? So that's me not paying attention. It was how long have you been carving? But you kind of answered that. But we'll
7 years. 7 years I've been carving.
yes.
from scratch, from zero.
Yeah.
But fully three-dimensional carving, 3 years.
Brilliant.
My daughter used to be very creative. She used to come into the workshop with me and make stuff with me, and uh, uh, she loved a little bit of woodwork. But then we had a small Dremel incident, and it's even though I've taught loads of students since then, this was my first lesson on workshop safety, because I've cut myself loads of times, but I've never had anybody else damage themselves, and she didn't really hurt herself.
Yeah.
What she did, I was using she was using a Dremel, uh, oops, uh, like one of these little freehand bits,
Mm.
and she was just using a little a drum sanding bit, so nothing sharp, nothing aggressive. She had her hair up in a ponytail. She had on safety glasses, uh, all kinds of things. But she was looking at her work, and she just picked the. I'll use this pencil as a demonstrator. And she was, carving very intently, and then she just leaned back and thought for a second, went like this,
Oh, okay.
and she ripped out a chunk of her hair.
Oh,
And even though I was next to her watching her, there was no, I saw what she was going to do. There was nothing I could do, and yeah, it was the expression on her face made me feel about that big. I
yeah.
felt like the worst dad in the world, the worst teacher in the world, and I wanted to destroy my Dremel. It wasn't Dremel's fault. It was me not thinking of all the possible issues
Mm.
um, that somebody might do. I mean, it was a perfectly, if you were painting or drawing and you just, had a second to think, it was, she was so engrossed with what she was doing, she just didn't pay attention.
Oh,
Um,
so did that put her
so
off then?
that put her off.
Yeah.
My son is desperate to use a chainsaw. And I'm like, no. You get a little bit older, pay a little bit more attention, little bit more situational awareness, then yes, we can do a chainsaw course. Once you've done your chainsaw course, I will show you how to carve with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But he wants to go from 0 to 100 without doing all the little steps. So it's
I'll tell you what, my eldest son is 19 now, and he went to college, and he's been he did his chainsaw and all the
yeah,
stuff that you do at college. And even though he can cut trees down and all that sort of thing, he wanted to learn how to make toadstools.
okay, yeah,
So I taught him because I've made loads over the years of
yeah,
chainsaws. And even though he's fully qualified, it was still me as a parent was so nervous of
oh
what
yeah,
he was doing. It's I was convinced he was going to flip up and hit himself, and things go through your mind. But he was quite competent.
yeah. Well, I mean, the stuff that whenever I'm teaching, because I teach people from uh, basic using a simple knife to using gouges, chisels to using power tools. I'm not teaching anybody chainsaw carving yet, um, because I'm trying to work with a local chainsaw training company to do a simplified training course, so people can come and try and do chainsaw carving rather than cutting down trees.
Yeah,
And that's basic chainsaw maintenance, but it's just kind of knowing the machine. But it's sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. It's there's when I found uh uh when I discovered what I could do with the chainsaw, it was it was so it's so much faster.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of the on my YouTube channel on Instagram, you'll see a lot of the torsos I've done, and I've done those with bandsaw, and I've done those with knives and chisels, and they take days and weeks. And everything I carve, I sell, so they go into galleries or what have you. But if
mm,
something takes me 3 weeks 6-7 days a week, I can't go to a gallery and say, okay, I want 5, 6, 7,000 pounds, whatever, for this. They're just going to laugh at you. So you need to be able to do this as a job. You need to be able to do it to the level that you want it to do, but also as efficiently as you want it to come out. And that means I'm not a chainsaw carver. I'm not a traditional wood carver. I'm not a power carver. I'm an everything carver. I use every single tool. I'll use a knife. I'll use a chainsaw. I'll use a Dremel. I'll use a belt sander if it's going to give me that effect that I want. So you have a tool. Don't say, well, I only use gouges. I think it's a bit of an outdated idea.
Well, a tool is a tool, and
It is.
it defines a tool as something to use as a tool. So if it gets the job done,
Yeah,
then it's the tool for the job.
yeah, because these are the most important things.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you're using. With a chainsaw, you get the right bar in it. I can do very detailed. I can do eyes. I can do detailed feathers. It took a lot of practice, but it's once you kind of get it. And I had to work. There's a guy that lives close to me called Brennan Knott, and he carves owls and he makes them. And I'm so jealous because he just takes a chunk of wood and bang bang, it looks like an owl. And then bang bang bang, and it's got feathers and eyes, and I'm just like, ah.
That's like is it skin it?
Skin it sticks.
Oh.
He's another level.
Oh, tell me about it.
Have you seen his walking sticks with the snakes and such?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've watched most of his videos. It's just, I'm in awe of the amount of skill that guy has got. It's ridiculous.
Well, some people have sent me, people have sent me pictures like, can you make this? And I've been doing this for long enough now. If somebody sends me a picture of a carving, I can usually tell who has done that carving. And they sent me one of his pictures of a mouse going up the stick with a snake coming down.
Yeah, yeah.
And they asked me, well, can you do this and how much would it cost? And I was like, first, no, I can't do that. And what it's going to cost you is probably about $7,000 because that's from Stinnett Sticks. And that's what he charges. And it takes him like 2 months to do it.
Yeah.
So it's because I've talked to him and I've contacted him a couple times because people sending me requests. So I will never just tell somebody no. If I can't do it, I'll find somebody who I know can do it and try to pass on the work.
Yeah.
So I've taught him, and he is very calm. When you talk to him, take a book because he talks like this.
So I won't be invading him then.
No, well, you can, but it's not a fast conversation.
Yeah.
And you be prepared to listen rather than talk. But lovely guy. But the work that he puts into those things is just unreal.
It is. It is. Right. So we got a few people jumped in. Tim's How to Make.
Hey, Tim.
Dan, the Sidings Workshop.
Dan.
Claire from Claire's Crafty Corner.
Yeah, no, Claire.
Gav. Douglas, did I say Douglas Montgomery? I think I did. Anyway, the Klondike Craftsman's in as well. We have a couple of questions, but we've got to work through these quickly.
Sure.
I've got loads of questions up here that I really want to ask you.
Okay.
But, right, here we go. I've just seen one from Wayne, you'll have to wait for that question, mate. I'm getting to that. So, Circular Wood by Keith. What woods do you use?
I use a little bit of everything, but it kind of depends what we're talking about. If I do sculpture, uh, by far the best wood you can use for sculpture is cedar. I don't get much cedar, so I pretty much use anything. One of the worst you can use is oak, believe it or not, just because it cracks so much. But it's loads of my sculptures recently have just been pine or white beam and cherry. It's like this one. You can see that behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the base of that is white beam. The cap is made from cherry. Because when I first carved that, the head of the jellyfish is a bit phallic-like. And my son came home from school and asked me basically why was I carving a giant penis. And then I couldn't not see it, so I just cut it off and made a completely different one. But that was a sea life scene. This is one of the casualties of the pandemic, because this was for a restaurant, a seafood restaurant, and it was carved it for them, but they unfortunately they went belly up.
Oh,
So I'm trying to actually get my local in Plymouth. We have a massive aquarium, and I'm trying to go through all the hoops to donate it on a or to let them show it on a temporary basis.
yeah.
But it's one of the things I found carving the NHS plaques. It's very difficult to give something to an institution. You can't just go and say, "Hey, would you like this?" They'll be like, "Okay, well, you have to talk to so and so. You have to sign this paper and do this, and there's insurance, and I need to back check you." It's like, okay. So yeah, so white beam, pine. I carve things out of leylandii, spruce, whatever wood that I can find. I use. It's a lot of times I'll see like this the council arborist guys. They're cutting down a tree. I'll go and say, "Hey, what tree is that? Can I just have like all of it?"
Yeah.
And they'll generally like, "Yes, take it," because we don't want to have the hassle of moving it. And I load up my pickup and bring it back.
I've got some huge pieces. I mean, they're massive.
Yeah.
Pieces of oak from down the road where there's chopping the tree down that came down in the storm.
Yeah.
It's been in my horse box, at the very back of my horse box, for about 4 years now.
Okay.
It'll be ready to come out and have a play with. So, Wood Wizardry by Colin. Have you ever carved a dragon?
I have not, but it's that is kind of the next. Whenever I'm going to do a carving, I think about it, I plan it. I look at loads of videos of people carving them. I draw it 3, 4, 5 different times, and I kind of need to like psych myself up to it. But yes, I have planned 3 different dragon heads that I want to carve. Simon O'Rourke is one of my wood chainsaw carving heroes, or even Tommy Craggs. Those guys are just unbelievable. But Simon, he did a fire breathing dragon, and he's just done a sculpture in Wales, which was like a giant's hand reaching up to the sky. And it's when you see the hand, it's fantastic. But then when you realize it's 7 meters tall, it's it's slightly next level. So yeah, stay tuned. Dragons are coming.
Excellent. Well, to see those, you'll have to go over and follow Johnathon on his Instagram. So that's in the chat, in the description. Right. So I've been meaning to ask you this question. It's on the board in front of me. Wayne the Woodturner's asking about the NHS carvings. So I've seen a lot of these carvings, and it's not just NHS. You do loads of different ones, don't you? for, I
Yes.
think you did one for Southwestern Ambulance Service Trust,
Yeah.
and different ambulances as well. I mean,
Yeah, I've done 25 different versions of it.
oh wow, how did that
It's
come about? Was that you giving, supporting the NHS when the pandemic struck?
yes, in a way. It was I had a student named Pat, and when the whole pandemic thing struck, she used to come and spend 2 to 4 hours carving with me a week. Now Pat was 76. She had every health condition known to man, so she was one of those people who went into isolation very early.
Yeah.
Um, so I was on one of the Facebook groups. It was either Wood Club or Woodworking UK. I'm not sure. Um, and somebody had asked a question about the NHS logo. So I did a little change of the NHS logo, which the NHS with the
Superman.
Superman symbol,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I'd seen on the NHS website. But instead of, I just squashed them all in together,
Okay.
just to make the most use of the wood and to make it a little bit easier.
Mm.
And I did a YouTube video for her, for my student Pat, on how to carve one of these. And then so I did that one. And then we were out doing, this is during April, the whole Clap for Carers.
Yeah.
And we were out clapping on a Thursday night. And my son said, Dad, you should carve one of these for Derryford. So we know my son is a competitive diver, and there's lots of the staff at Derryford who also have children who dive. So I knew quite a few of the staff from there. So I carved one for Derryford, put that on Facebook, and I had quite a few likes. So I then offered it to any other hospital that wanted one. And within a week, we had about 500,000 likes and
Brilliant.
thousands of messages. It's Have you ever had that feeling? It's like, okay, I want to carve this or I want to put this on, but I'm worried, especially if you're going to sell something, I'm worried that it's either going to flop or it's going to get big and I'm not going to know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've had that worry a few times before and nothing ever materialized, but it's like, I'm like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I put this on and my phone was going berserk for like 50 hours, like every 10 minutes, 24 hours a day.
Mm.
And I was actually terrified. It's like, I don't know what I've done.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, Christy, she was a massive help because we went through every message. We responded to every message. And so initially I was like, okay, I'm going to carve 20. And we tried to keep it local if we could. Local as in within Devon.
Yeah.
But then I also found out that you couldn't just give a plaque to a hospital. It's especially at the beginning of COVID, everything was so secure. I was sending plaques to hospitals. The plaques were going into quarantine for 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Before they could be opened, which I thought was just mad. But the messages I was getting from the hospitals were so touching. These were not the hospitals requesting. These were the janitorial staff. They were nurses. They were doctors. They were ambulance care workers. And they wanted something at their place that they could look at and smile at, make them feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Brilliant.
At the time, everybody was clapping for them, but the government was not doing very much. There's a load of the ambulance guys I met who just had a salary decrease. The nurses were getting whacked, and they all just in the worst of this time, when everybody else was saying, "Yeah, you guys are doing a great job," the government was kind of like taking it all away. So I extended my offer to any NHS facility in the UK that wants one. Send me a message, and I will do my best to make one for you.
Yeah.
Then I started getting a few unique requests. It's like, well, um, I work in the NHS, but I'm in an ambulance company. Could you potentially change the letters? And I'm like, hey, sure. I went up. By this time, I was kind of tired of just carving NHS. I was like, yeah, anything that's different. So I did LAS, which is London Ambulance Service, NWAS, Northwest Ambulance Service, Southwest Ambulance Service, SCAS. I did cardiac wards. I did mental health wards. This is kind of time I put out the calls like to online and on Facebook. It's like woodworkers, wood carvers of the UK. I need help. I've got 10,000 requests.
Oh God.
And can you help? And people responded.
Yeah.
It's I had hundreds of messages. People say, yes, please send us the design, and show us how to do it, and we'll carve one and make one for our local place. So then I did another YouTube video showing how to use routers and power tools and things. So you get the same effect. You didn't have to use chisels. I chose the hard way in the beginning because for me it was kind of like a my marathon, my little mission. But not everybody needs to do that. So it's like, yeah, however you guys want to cover, please just carve like 100 for me and send them out to wherever you can. But it's and we had hundreds of people got in contact. I think at the end I carved 436 plaques, which was NHS ones, ambulance one, care homes, and donated them all around the country. We did every hospital in Devon and Cornwall, and about 200 hospitals and institutions around the UK. But the great thing about it was we had dozens, hundreds of other woodworkers around the UK who also did it. They got in contact with their own local services. They picked up the phone, they sent email messages, and got other plaques out there. As people made little clips for the face masks to take the pressure off the ears, donated those. They did little CNC carvings. They did big CNC carvings. There was one guy, I think it was Scott, he carved a log, which I thought was fantastic. He just cut the log in half and carved NHS into that, took it outside of a hospital, and it was great.
It's really impressive how, something simple that you didn't think was gonna, you thought, oh yeah, I'll have a go at just carving this, and then it's blown up massively. Anyone that sees any one of these now is going to know where it all come from.
Yeah, they were yeah, I did not expect back in April last year that I would spend 4,000 hours, which is roughly how long it took to carve and donate those plaques. But I think every second was worth it.
Yeah.
But it also, there's this last 18 months has been especially difficult for me as well, because it's I've lost 6 family members.
Oh, what's COVID?
All non-COVID, just age.
Oh, okay.
But I've lost the entire top tier of my family. It's my mother, grandfather, second father, uncles, and it's the carving for me has always been a bit of therapy as well.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons I was so so hardcore into it, and the reason that I was doing it, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it freed my heart. It let me grieve. It let me think, and let me deal with that kind of loss, because it was literally within every 2 months I was losing someone
Yeah.
that was important in my life, and the grief was overwhelming until the point where it stopped completely because I became numb,
Mm.
and I knew that was not a good place to be. So I had lots of support from my girlfriend. My kids were good, but I'm from Barbados, and all my family was in the Caribbean. So I couldn't even travel there to go and like share this with anybody.
No. No.
Um, so I just doubled down into my work, and my family, uh, they were very supportive. My mom, who I lost in January, she loved what I was doing,
Mm.
and so it kind of became my crusade for myself, but also I wanted to let all these people out there who are working so hard know that we were thinking about them. If
Yeah.
it just that there's okay, I don't you might have a bad day and you have some terrible insult or whatever, but you know that you are respected and loved. And if this one little thing that I can do, if I picking up a knife and cutting a piece of wood off can make somebody smile and make them feel better, I'll do that any day of the week.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thanks for doing them anyway. I mean, they really are impressive. Right. We've got loads of questions, but we're running out of time. So, Tim's how to make, he's asking, excuse me. His wife is just starting in carving. She has a Dremel and a big set of hand carving chisel kind things. She tries to carve letters. Have you a pro tip for starters in carving?
Yes. Sharp. Sharp is the most important thing. A dull knife is a dangerous knife. Start with simple shapes, simple images, and don't be afraid to fail. It's your first carving is never going to look at how you want it to look. It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Generally, when I get a student for the first time, I'll give them a star or a circle to carve, because it kind of gives you an idea of how the grain pattern is going to work, because going with the grain is so important. But it's just to take it slow, use sharp tools, never carve towards yourself, and don't be afraid to experiment. It's if you guys ever want to send me a message, feel free. I will help you as much as I can.
Excellent. Die Prout, are there any cheaper carving bars brands you'd
Yeah.
recommend that I have a play with before investing in the Canon? I don't understand that.
That's for that's chainsaw carving.
Okay, yeah, right.
So carving bars, it's Canon is great, but it's like middle of the range. I think Husqvarna have some that are slightly cheaper. Uh, Carving with the chainsaw, I actually think that you don't really want to go budget. It's the Canon bars. I would start off with like a 10-inch or a 12-inch Canon bar, and go with that. It's they're safe. The nice thing about the Canon bars is so, Rich, you're not chainsaw carver, but it's rather than a regular chainsaw bar, which is pretty straight with a big circle on the top. The carving bars are like a trapezoid with a very tiny little circle, so they don't kick back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so you can stick them anywhere in the wood. If you do get a little kickback, it's so small, it's easily manageable. I mean, an angle grinder is 10 times worse. And it really allows you detail and control. So it's with chainsaws especially, I wouldn't skimp. I would say Canon would probably be your entry level bar. There's quite a few Japanese which are more expensive, but it's it's to save your machine and your skin. I would stick with Canon.
Brilliant. Baz from Real Simple Things, he's saying he was inspired by you. Made a carer sign for the home my mum works in. Well done, Jonathan. Nothing but complete respect.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd love to. If you haven't sent me a picture of your sign, I'd love to see it.
Brilliant. Douglas Mungan says, question, Jonathan, have you made a video of you doing an owl, please?
Not yet. I've done a few. I put a short video of doing the base of an owl recently and doing the wings on Instagram. I haven't done a full tutorial on carving an owl for YouTube yet. I've watched so many different owl carvings on YouTube recently. And I would like, and you get these great chainsaw carvers. They're like, okay, well, you just make this cut, this cut, this cut, and boom, there's an owl. That didn't work for me. And it might not work for a lot of other people. So I'm going to try to do if you've watched any of my YouTube videos, they can be a little bit boring because I want somebody who's watched my video to be able to go and do what I've just done rather than just say, how has he done that? So I'm going to try to do 3 different owl. I'm currently doing 3 different owl videos. One's a perched owl, one is a flaring owl, and one is actually going to be a swooping owl. And hopefully that you guys can get the idea. But it is really all about just kind of trying it yourself.
Yeah.
And finding that spot, because on the videos there's only so much I can show. If you were there in spot, yes, I can help you out, but it's the videos are just kind of a guideline.
Yeah. I did flash this on screen earlier on. It's from the Turner's Workshop. So Jonathan's plaque is a pride of place in our crew room in memory of Ian. So
is that the LAS plaque?
I'm not sure,
but he's there. So there.
Scott from the Blue Light Turner, he kind of did a fundraiser for Ian's family. Ian was a driver that passed away through COVID. And I think he raised a load of money and stuff like that for him.
Yeah, I remember. It's unfortunately, I think I did about 7 plaques for ambulance staff who had passed away in the course of duty, or tragically took their own life.
Yeah,
because it was it's been thank you very much, whoever.
It was Scott.
Yeah, if you would like to recommend me for an MB, that'd be fantastic.
There we go. We'll make
I
it
have I was really surprised a couple weeks ago when I got a call. I got a call from the Prime Minister's office.
Okay.
And I thought it was a complete scam. Somebody called me and said, "Oh yeah, I'm calling you from number 10." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh no, you've been nominated for this. If you give me your details." I'm like, "What?" And then he actually gave me my name and he told me, "This is what I've been doing." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So what's the award?" And he said that I've been nominated and won award being called a Point of Light.
Right.
So the Point of Light is an award for people who have done exceptional work during COVID to influence and benefit their community in a voluntary way. And I was honestly blown away. I did not. They did a really lovely write up on me. It's put some pictures up of out of all the plaques I've carved, I've only been able to actually deliver 4. Right. So out of the 436, I've delivered 4 of them, and that was at just before I stopped carving them recently. Just because I was so busy carving them that it's people. I'm sure my neighbors thought I had some kind of medical emergency because I had ambulances coming to my house like 5 times a week picking up plaques.
All
and
right.
taking them to different places all over Devon and Cornwall.
Brilliant.
It's it really was quite a mission trying to coordinate. How are we going to get this one to here? Because they
Yeah.
did plaques from the Isles of Scilly all the way to North Scotland,
Oh, wow.
and
Oh,
Ipswich, Wales, everywhere.
yeah.
Um, I really wanted to reach every NHS facility in the UK. I mean, there's 1,297 NHS trusts in the UK. So strange facts you pick up. Um, e- each of those trusts can have up to 5 hospitals. And then there's the ambulance service. You're talking 10,000 plaques if I reached
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to reach every NHS trust. But I tried to do a fundraiser which worked a little bit. I contacted my local MPs; they weren't interested. Um, it's Axminster helped me out loads. They gave me a bunch of tools. Um, Bond Timber helped me out. They gave me all the wood for it. Terry from Chestnut Products, he gave me loads of wood stains and finishes, which I'm completely thankful for because I don't think they would have even looked remotely as good without Terry's stains. Um, I had a few shipping companies who got behind, and they either gave me a big discount or they did the shipping for free. Um, so yeah, it was just a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And if I'd been able to get a little bit of backing or even coming to jump over, I would still be carving them now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I still get requests for them, and the odd request I get, I will still carve one and send it out.
Yeah.
And I will continue doing that until nobody wants one anymore.
Excellent. I'm sure you'll be doing it for a while. We're coming up to the hour actually. So,
Oh wow!
what do I want to get in? Because I've asked loads of questions, but I've still got loads for you.
So what do you want to know?
Right. Okay. So, where can people buy or commission you to do a carving for them?
Well, you can pretty much everything I make sells pretty much immediately. So it's you can commission one if you see something you like, or if you have an idea of something you want. Uh, Instagram, Facebook, call me. My all my information is on my Carve by Hand Facebook page,
Hmm.
um, and we can talk about it. It's nothing is impossible. I'm currently carving a 5 meter tall sculpture down in Cornwall for the Little Arbor Children's Hospice, and that's another charity carving I'm doing. But it's massive. It's a 600-year-old windblown oak tree
Oh wow.
that it's a big sea life scene. So it's dolphins leaping over an octopus. There's turtles and all kinds of stuff involved. Um, but yeah, so I'm never not carving. But if you send me a message and you have something you want, let me know and I will fit you in.
Cool. Oh, I've just put your Instagram and your Facebook in the chat. So, guys, if you're interested in anything that Jonathan's made or you wanted to make something, just whack one of those.
Yeah, send me a
Um,
message. Challenge me.
don't say that. You're going to get even more on your plate now. Um, okay, right. Really quickly, do you have a shout out that I can put in the description? Is there anyone that you would like to share with us?
There are um, there are so many people who have helped with the NHS carvings. I uh, can't even begin to say thank you, or even just say check this guy out. There are uh, you've put me on the spot because I actually can't think of them
No,
at the
I'll
moment.
tell you what. It would be really it would be great if you could
Mhm.
give me a few of those in a private message, so I can
I will do.
I'll pop them into the description, just so people can thank them.
Well, there's guys like first name that pops into my is Morey Lothian Lothian, and he did loads of he did a lot of CNC stuff, but he donated it all to like the little clips for masks, and he did little plaques, and he did signs for care homes. Um, uh, uh, who else? Um,
That's okay.
all the guys who helped me do, especially with the cares plaques.
Yeah.
Khalid, he did a amazing one. John Whitaker, he did one. There's I've been helped in so many ways by the help I got was so touching,
Yeah.
especially when I was feeling massively overwhelmed. It's when I'm getting hundreds of people who are thankfully a lot of those hundreds turned out to be from the similar hospitals.
Right.
Um, so I'd get 50 requests from one hospital, and I was able to consolidate, and which was actually a bit of a okay. It's not that bad,
Mm.
but it's somebody would offer to help. It's like, okay, yeah, can you please do one for this hospital? Or can you please do one for this care home? And they would just say, yeah, sure, no problem. Um, Send them the template. They'd ask a few questions, and then go for it. It's and if you guys are watching this and you want to follow the example and you want to carve one for your local hospital, um, send me a message. I'll send you the template. I'll help you show you how to carve it,
Well, you
and
can
I'll
send me one. I'll
yeah
do one. So if you can send me one, I'll do it for our
yeah
local.
definitely will do, because it's so I carved 436, and but in total we did almost 780
Oh wow.
with all the help from people around the UK.
Yeah.
And that's NHS and its cares, ambulances, but that still leaves that there's almost 700 more to do. So it's I'm not giving I've no longer doing 6 to 10 a week
Yeah.
because they do take 6 to 8 hours each.
Oh.
Um, but I will still do one or two a month, and I will keep sending those out until I hit them all. It might take me the rest of my life, but I'll
Well,
get there.
definitely send me the template, and I'll do one for my local.
Yeah, fantastic. That'd be great.
So just one thing before we go, Baz from Real Simple Things. He was just asking about the piece behind you.
Oh, sure.
We did mention this. Well, Jonathan mentioned this earlier, Baz.
Let me move. So this is a sea life sculpture. I'm assuming this is one you're talking about.
Yep.
So it's a jellyfish. It's got maybe I'm too close now. Jellyfish, green sea turtle. You got fish on the bottom, some seaweed coming up, and seahorse on the back, lots of tentacles, seagrass. This part is made from white beam. This part is made from a wild cherry stump. And it's this initially was for a restaurant, but the restaurant, unfortunately, during COVID, lost its it ran out of cash and it closed. So I'm trying to get this currently into my local aquarium, which is the big aquarium in Plymouth.
Excellent. Well, hopefully, if you're in Plymouth, you'll be able to go and see that up close. Oh, what's happened? We've lost you, Jonathan.
All right, I'm back.
There we go.
My tripod gave up on me.
Oh, okay. All right. Right then. Can you hear me? Because you're frozen up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you back. We got you back.
I cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
No, no, can't hear you.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Where's your headphones? Headphones?
Yeah, I'm going to try the headphones again.
Yeah.
Bear with me a sec.
Right. How's that?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, excellent. Right then. So just before we go, Douglas Mungum wants to tell you you're an inspiration to everyone that you would be in contact with. So thanks for that, Douglas.
Thank you, Douglas.
And that's it. Thanks, Jonathan, for having a chat with us and allow us into your world for a little bit.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it, and I could just sit here and chat to you all night, and
Yeah.
I suppose everyone else could, but an hour is just about enough.
Well, I think every time that we meet up, last time we saw each other was Yandles, I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I can sit and it's just lovely chatting with people who the same mindset, same. Yeah.
Well, we'll be coming down your way soon anyway with the caravan, so maybe we can come and see some of these in person.
Yeah, well, I'm actually off to do a contract from August 1st.
Oh, right, okay.
So I've got a 3-month contract that I'm going to do out of country.
Oh, okay.
Which I can't talk about yet.
Okay, well,
I can talk about I'm going. I just can't talk about what I'm doing. But you'll see pictures eventually.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Should be exciting.
And yeah, Colin, she is a beaut, isn't she? You've been a good girl, haven't you? You've been a good girl. She's going to put to bed now in a minute. Right then. So thanks to everybody that's turned out tonight and stuck your questions up. I really appreciate that. And just remember, if you don't follow Jonathan on Instagram or YouTube, head over there. The links are in the description. And I'll see you all next week.
All right, thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Bye, folks. Peace and love.